Okay, everybody, welcome to episode 4 of the Stew Pod. I have here with me on an audio connection one of the earlier people I've met in PWX Pittsburgh, which was Michael Macbeth, aka Quinn Magnum. I still call him Quinn to this day. Welcome. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate you having me. It's been a long time. We've known each other a long time, 25 years, 2.5 decades, man. We're old.
Yeah, 25 years. So before the show started, we got talking right away, and it was just like it clicked. So I said, well, let's start recording. Let's just go ahead and do this. Well, before we get into the old days, tell me right now, what are you doing? What are you up to?
Trying to get some interest in a new organization up in Pittsburgh called Fight Underground. What we're trying to do with that is kind of bring a sports aspect, a competition aspect to wrestling. I think that's something that has been touched on here or there, but at the same time, everybody's leaning towards more the entertainment side of it. And yes, you got to entertain and stuff, but at the same time, I mean, look, sports today are crazy popular. So, I mean, if you create competition, then, you create excitement, I think. And that's kind of what we're doing. That's what we're looking for. A young Lou Marconi, even Lou Marconi now, would be a great fit in Fight Underground. But I mean, that's what we're looking to do is try to create a little bit of mystique, a little bit of surprises and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And actually try to make it like a sports, much more sports oriented. We have rankings, and the rankings actually matter. You can't get if there's a champion, you can't get a championship shot unless you're ranked within, top 5, 10, whatever, stuff like that. Believe it or not, wins and losses count. Oh my God,
competition, like an actual sports competition, and not just an acrobatic exhibition.
That's exactly it. I want guys that they're going to come in here and they're going to throw bombs on each other. I mean, it's a contact sport. That's what I continue to tell everybody. People say entertainment or whatever. That's bullshit. It's contact sport. I played football. I played hockey. I played basketball. I played all that stuff. Did some boxing in my younger years, and wrestling's the one that beat me up the most. So,
I did 2 years of boxing before I started, and I remember those days too. Yeah, that's why if you could look at the picture, that's why you see my nose. It was broken twice. Yeah, it was broken twice. I could throw. That's what a lot of guys didn't know that. A couple of times I've had to in the ring, and I could do it. And I was like, oh, I knew how to fight, but I wasn't the toughest or baddest man on the planet. I never tried to sell it myself that way. But I said, hey, if I need to, I can defend myself. So,
right.
That's what my dad.
If you're in professional wrestling, I think you should have to be able to do that, or at least know how to do that. Yeah, I mean, if you don't know what it's like to be in a real fight or real competition, which is contact oriented, how are you supposed to make it look good without, without giving away any kayfabe there? But
how's it supposed to look realistic to the audience? How is it going to be believable to them?
Right. And if you don't know what you're doing, I mean,
well, if you've never been in a real wrestling match or a real competition, right. I played football, I played baseball, and I did amateur boxing. And I knew I did amateur wrestling too, but my brother was way better than me at amateur wrestling. In high school, I never pursued it. Well, he won states.
Oh, wow.
Champion.
So he's pretty good.
well, he placed third in the junior nationals. And when he wrestled in college at Cleveland State, he went, I forgot what weight he was at. When they moved him up to heavyweight, it screwed him up. But he was supposed to wrestle Kurt Angle when Cleveland State was visiting Clarion.
Oh, really?
It didn't happen. And this is a true story. When I introduced myself to Kurt when he was first starting out at WWE, because it was late 90s and I was doing regular WWF taping. I say WWF because that's what it was when I was there.
Right.
And I said, how you doing? Nice to meet you, Kurt. Lou Marconi. And he went, Marconi? Did you know what Dennis Marconi? I said, that's my brother. Oh, cool. Hey, yeah. I said, yeah, I'm at Cleveland State now. I was a college student then. So he knew my brother. He remembered him.
Oh,
that says a lot. That says a lot that Kurt knew my brother. So
right.
I told him about that. I tried to get him into the business, but he wasn't interested. He didn't want to do it. And he could have made money. He could have done. He was 10 times the athlete I was.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh yeah. I will always admit to that. He's 4 years older than me. He was 10 times the athlete I was. Yeah, he was very good. He was the athlete of the family. I was the smart ass little brother. That was my role.
So you had the promo down already, huh?
What's that?
You had the promos down already.
But yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah. So back in the days, you started out at PWX. I think it was 97, 96.
96 actually, yeah.
96, because that's when I started. I started in August of 96 was my first show. And
Okay.
it was me and Frank as Steel City representatives as guests against Black Cat and Paul Adams. And I remember
the Black Cat, there's a name from the past, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Eric's a great guy. I did. The thing is, people ask me now if I have heat with people. I have absolutely no heat with anyone. I have no reason to. I'm tired. I'm at home. The pictures you see right now, those are some of the belts that I won. I have them this is my office in my house, home office. I'm able to work from home with my job, and I have a 2-acre property in
wow.
Ohio. Yeah, and just my wife. I'm raising my family. And I just kind of went, why carry around this heat and animosity? I'm going to be 47 in June. Some of this stuff happened in my 20s. I mean, yeah, I was just as stupid. Why, well, the whole thing, I don't know if you're Christian or not, or if anybody that is, in the Lord's Prayer, there's specific wording in it. And it says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. You got to start forgiving yourself before you start letting go of stuff. And that's what I had to do. Because I'm just as much at fault for things as other people. And I might have said things or wish I could take things back, but I can't. But it's done with. So I just said, hey, I did the best I could with what I had. And now I'm raising 2 girls. I'm a father of 2 girls. And people are asking me, what would you do if your daughters wanted to work in the business? I said, I probably want to talk them out of it. I'd probably talk them out of it. But
right.
yeah. So that's what I meant. I think I met you then. Were you there in August of 97? Or
I was training in August. My debut was September, I believe.
Okay.
I mean, they fast-tracked me through because what happened was they had a bunch of people that kind of just walked out to start their own thing, so they were hurting, for bodies, basically,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I remember, but you remember Bubba, right? From you got to remember Bubba.
The Bulldog.
Yeah, Bubba the Bulldog. He had he still does a radio show up here. Yeah. Actually, that's what I did is I called the radio show. And because I had heard him on the radio saying about wrestling or whatever. And I've told people this, over the years, but I actually had a tryout set up for the World Football League. You remember the World Football League? It was like a subsidiary of the NFL in a way. It was where guys went to, they had Baltimore and you had over in Europe and stuff like that. Well, I had to try out the Baltimore Stallions because I actually had talked to the Steelers about, if they did any, walk-on tryouts, because I was completely naive with that too. And they directed me down there and had a tryout set up. And then I finally get a hold of Bubba, like literally a month before my tryout for World Football League. And I decided to go with wrestling. Was it the right choice, Sal? I mean, hell, I got 2 great kids out of wrestling. You know what I mean? I got a lot of good memories and stuff like that. So maybe I did make the right choice. But there's always that what if in the back of your mind. You know what I mean?
Hey, I mean, I made my choices. There's that what if, but I don't know. I never had the only tryout I ever did was for an arena football team, but I did that in 2008 just to prove that I could. And I was 30. Right. And I was I got in awesome physical condition and got there, but my 40 time was too slow.
Oh, really? But I was like happy as hell when my 40 time hit below 4.9 at one point. I was like, oh my God, I actually did it.
I was 5'6".
5'6", really? I hit like 4.89 one time. And that was crazy. I never even sniffed that again. So
yeah, that's not. Plus, it's just there was a guy that and I was able to bench press. I was 29 times, 225 pounds, 29 times, but that's not my best. My best was 36.
Holy shit! And you got me beat on that.
What's that?
You got me beat on that with wrestling.
They saw me lift, and they were like, "Okay, he's 5'11", 240, 245 pounds, and he can do that. Okay, let's see him run." And they went, "You're not fast enough." That's the first thing they said to me. That's all they said. They said, "You're not fast enough. You're too slow. You're not going to be able to play." And
I guess with arena, huh? Because there's no fullback. Because that's like a perfect fullback size, maybe even like a middle linebacker size,
Yeah, like a fullback or linebacker, but I wasn't fast enough. So they kind of said for arena, no. You just the league's not. They said you could have possibly gotten on. They go maybe get onto a semi-pro team as a fullback, maybe. Mm-hmm. That's what they said to me. But they said no. They said I was like I wasn't even interested in it. I got a free T-shirt. It was the Cleveland Gladiators. It was in
At least you got a T-shirt. I didn't even get to try out. That was my fault, though.
That'd been cool if you would actually. Well, how would that have worked with the Steelers? Would they just worked you out, or would you have practiced with them?
Well, when I talked to, I can't remember the guy's name. He retired just a couple years after that. This was 96, like early 96, whenever I finally got a hold of him and stuff like that. And Cowher had been there for like 3 years at that point. So whenever I talked to the Joe Gordon, I want to say it was. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. I talked to him, and I literally like a 20-minute conversation and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, he goes, they used to do it up until the Chuck Noll era ended, which was what, like 92, 93. So I missed it by like 2 or 3 years.
I think Noll's last year was 91 because
okay. So,
I think that was Belichick's first year with the Browns. And I think because I have a good memory about this stuff for some reason, but I remember my dad telling me, because I grew up a Browns fan because that was the Browns I grew up in Cleveland, mm-hmm. And my dad telling me that Chuck Noll played for the Browns back when they were great, and he was a disciple of Paul Brown, and actually Chuck Noll was Don Shula's defensive coordinator with the Colts.
Yes,
Shula recommended him to the Rooney family, and the Steelers at that time, they might have had one winning season in like 30 years.
Oh yeah, they're horrible.
He basically rebuilt that program from the ground up, and the mm-hmm. Rooney family had to show patience because that wouldn't happen today. His first year, he won one game.
Yeah, he's won. What was it? 1 in 13. I think they played 14 games back then. Then that's his first draft pick was Joe Green.
Yeah, he had Joe Green. Then the next year, I think he drafted Bradshaw, wasn't it?
Yeah, which they only got him because they won a coin flip with the Bears. Did you ever know that?
No.
Yeah, no. They both had the same record, and it was decided who got the first pick in the draft was a coin flip. The Steelers won the coin flip and got Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah. Huh.
Talk about luck, huh?
I met Terry Bradshaw at the Cleveland. I was working at a Cleveland TV station. He came and he did a talk about. I guess I don't know what type of. He had like some sort of social anxiety disorder or something, a panic attacks. And he was talking about that on the air, and I was shocked at how big he was, how much he's a big man. And yeah. He's tall and he's big. I was like, wow, because one of the assignment editors thought it'd be funny if we showed like B-roll on the plasma screen while he was playing. They said, oh yeah, let's show Turkey Jones dropping him on his head. I said, we're not doing that.
I remember that.
Well, he thought it would be funny, and I said, no. Do you want to explain to the executive producer why Terry Bradshaw walked off the set? You want to do that? I'm not going to be responsible for that because I was the head editor at the time. I said, I'm not going to be responsible for that. Plus, I've had concussions. It's not a joke. And I said, no, we're not making a joke of it. I said, no. And if that happened, what Turkey Jones did, if that happened today, oh, God.
He would have been suspended for the year, if not more.
And some of the stuff that Jack Lambert did too. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying anybody's perfect here, but yeah.
Even if you go back, no doubt. People come across the middle. Lambert used both forearms right across their face mask just to take them out.
Yeah.
That's just the way it was played back then.
The stuff that James Harrison did 10 years ago, he'd be suspended for games.
Yeah, absolutely.
He would be. It's changed. But anyway, back to it. So you talked to somebody at the Steelers. They said they were just going to bring you in and try you out, or you weren't going to actually practice with them?
Well, that's what he said. He said that they hadn't done that since the Noll era, which had just ended a few years beforehand. And he said, but what they do have is this World Football League, which I believe was like a year, maybe just only a year, maybe it was even a first year. I'm not entirely sure. But and he said they have that, and that's kind of a way to filter your way, get yourself seen, basically. It's just like working the independents in professional wrestling. You want to get yourself seen. That's what it was. It's basically a platform to do so. And, so I was like, okay, let's do it. And he put me in contact with the Baltimore Steins. I honestly don't remember the guy's name. I talked to them and had a tryout set up. And then I was like I said, I was like, man, do I want to, football or do I want to do, the wrestling always interesting because I loved wrestling from whenever I was a young kid and everything else, but so yeah, I ended up, I had tried a stupid radio station for probably 20 times over the course of a couple of weeks. And it was like literally like almost like in my head, it was like, this is going to be the last time, and I end up getting through. And Bubba gets on, during a commercial break. He goes, you are interested in wrestling? It's like, yeah. He goes, well, can I ask how big you are? I said, I'm about 6'5", about 250, 255. He goes, no, seriously, how big are you? I said, 6'5", like 250, 255. I said, I used to be like 275. I said, but I've trimmed down a lot because, I mean, that's what I was working towards is football, you know? And he goes, I'll know if you're bullshitting me. I was like, why would I bullshit? I don't even know who you are and hearing you on the radio. You know what I mean? He was just testing me to see, you know. And he goes, well, I'll put you in contact with Brian Anthony and Paul Atlas are the ones who do training. Well, I don't know shit about I don't know if I can cuss on here, but sorry. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I didn't know anything about independent wrestling at that time. You know what I mean? I didn't know in anything I knew was what I saw on TV or read in magazines. I mean, that's what it was even back then. And I remember thinking Brian Anthony was dirty white boy Tony Anthony from down in Mid-South, like in the South and stuff.
They look totally different, Brian Anthony.
Yeah, I walked in, I was like, that ain't that fucking same dude in for Wrestling Illustrated, you know. But yeah, I remember walking in and like a couple of them were, you know, a couple of guys there were like, look at you, you're skinny as a rail. I was like, I'm in shape. You're just not. You know what I mean? It's kind of what I was thinking, but. You know, they asked me, they're like, what have you done to train for this? I said, actually, I was trained to play football. They're like, oh, okay. You know, and I just said, well, what did you do? I said, well, I didn't know what entailed in professional wrestling, so I just was doing what I knew with the scouting combine for the NFL. And that's funny that you mentioned the 225. I was able to do it 25 times. So you got me beat definitely on that. You know, but I mean, I always had decent speed for being a bigger guy. But it was just a case of I was, you know, running miles and testing myself in 40s for probably a year straight, if not longer. You know what I mean? I'm just going hard at it for that. So that's how I got in. It's weird, but yeah.
Steelers with just your size, if you had some ability, they would have probably looked at you.
Yeah, I mean, like tight end, that's what I played. You know, I played tight end. I played defensive end. Back then, I didn't have the killer mentality, so to speak. You know what I mean? To be the defensive end that actually is in there, you know what I mean? With tight end was more my thing. I love catching passes. I love blocking, stuff like that. You know, I was pretty good at catching passes. So, but it is what it is.
It's neither here nor there. It's like, yeah, okay. You know, I was, you know, like I said, you're probably a way better athlete than I was. I just grew up watching wrestling, and to me, when Charlie started showing me stuff, he was surprised at how quick I picked things up, and I said, well. After watching it, now learning how it works, I could go, okay, 2 + 2 = 4. This makes sense. We can do it this way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And he's just like, yeah, okay. So and I like what Rip Rogers said. Well, I've listened to Rip Rogers on a podcast, and he said, look, if you have some athletic ability, above average common sense and intelligence, but a very strong work ethic, you can make money in wrestling. You can do something in this business. You just got to have that work ethic. You got to be willing to do the things and drive those extra miles, and take on extra shows, really go out there and put on the work. But that's really what it is. So, so walk me through after you tried out with them. They started training you. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Like I had said, you know, they had just recently had, I don't even know how many, probably 5, 6, 7 people walk out. And I don't know what it was. I wasn't there. You know what I mean? But
I just started. Maybe they didn't like. There was guys there that were just weird. There was just like, I remember there was one dude that looked like he had like a leather outfit on and chains. He looked like some sort of S&M type of character.
Oh yeah, that was he actually started training at the same time I did, and they threw him on a show. I think they put the username John Doe, and that's where they got Shirley Doe from. He was supposed to be his brother or something like that, you know. But that's how Shirley Doe's name just stuck. That John Doe dude did like 2 or 3 matches and it was done. He was small though, you know what I mean? And he just, as far as like being in the training and stuff, it just wasn't somebody that was catching on. Like you said, you caught on pretty quick with stuff they were showing you. You know, I do remember him. The question is, where did he get that stuff from? You know what I mean? How do you just randomly have that in your trunk or something? You know?
I didn't ask questions. It just I remember like Brian Anthony came up to me in the locker room after we were looking at him. He's like, be afraid, be very afraid. I was like, it was just like, what the hell is this? And it's like he was just missing a ball gag in his mouth. That's the only thing he was missing.
I mean, he could have been the Gimp from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. I'm like, what in the hell are we? And I'm thinking like, wow. So it just, yeah, that, because I try to explain to people when they come up to me about shows and they message me, and I'm like, you know what? You just remember stuff that just etched in your memory, because a lot of times matches are blurs in your memory. But you kind of, yeah, I remember that show. Yeah, yeah. But, but unless something really weird happens, like that guy in that locker room, that stuck to me. That was
Right.
24 years later talking about it. It's like, yeah.
And I remember the dude's name. How bad am I?
You knew his name, yeah. But okay, so you started wrestling. At what point in time did you? Because I think we worked in '98. Is that a TV taping, right, for PWX?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was. Does that sound about right? I think
Mm-hmm.
98.
98, yeah. Because yeah, and you put me over, which I always appreciate anybody that put me over. Because I think I left. I want to say no, was it 97? It might have been 97 because I left towards the end of 97 because I got a shot with ECW
Okay.
and I went and worked for them for a little bit. And then I started working for Norm again along with ECW by March 90. I was only at ECW for 6 months because I had an opportunity, to finish college. So I said, if I do this, I'll finish college in 15 months. And I took an extra class a semester and went through 2 summers, summer 98 and summer 99. By August of 99, I graduated. So
right choice.
Yeah, I have a great job now. I have a great career, and I understand. I knew wrestling wasn't going to be there forever, and I told them, I told Heyman, I said, yeah, let me finish college, and I'll see what's going on when I'm done. I'll be back in my. He said, okay, congratulations, go ahead. He understood. He was fine with it, and everybody was fine with it. They didn't really have any plans for me, I think. And by the time I got back, that was the summer when checks started to bounce, and I think Shane Douglas left and things were up. And I was like, nope, I'll stick with the Indies. And I think a year later, that's when I hurt my back. So it's probably a good thing I went to college.
Yeah.
But anyway, this isn't about me. But anyway, so we met, I think it was 97, 98 was when we did that. And I'm trying to think, because I remember the match. But I don't, like I said, it's mostly a blur to me in my memory. I don't remember anything weird happening. Strange.
In the match, I don't think, like I told you before we started, was I just saw it. I don't remember where I just saw it. It just randomly come up somewhere. I don't know where it was. Maybe I was on YouTube and I don't know, showing my son something, and that match came up and showed him, hey, look what I look like, how many years ago. That might have been it. I don't know. But I just remember recently, within the last 6 months, I actually saw the match. And for me not having a super amount of matches at that point, I might have had I don't even know, 20, 25 matches at that point. And that's it. I think it went well. You could tell I was green as grass, and I could see now, you talking to me through it and stuff like that, So, again, I think it went well. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
What we were talking about beforehand, what I think is a lost art in pro wrestling today, or when I came back in 2009 and I worked for you guys, was the fact that you could just lock up and call it in the ring and go.
Mm-hmm.
I could do it. I was trained to do it. Versus guys today, if one thing goes wrong, one thing goes awry, they're lost.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I preach that all the time now. Like with the students that I'm training and or have trained in the recent past and stuff. It's like, do not map this stuff out. Because one thing goes wrong, and it will. 95% of the time, something's going to go wrong.
It's not going to be planned. It's not going to be what you thought.
And then what are you going to do? Because you had this whole thing planned out. Now you're going to try to rush to get back to here, and it's going to look like crap. And the rest of the match might be garbage. And even if you are successful in covering it, you're still thrown off. And the biggest thing, though, I think, is you cannot do stuff according to how the crowd's reacting. And that's the whole point of this. And in my opinion, is you want the crowd to react to what you're doing. You know what I mean? You want them to boo you, if you're a heel, if you're a face, you want them to cheer, do some kind of sound. You don't want crickets because, planning your match out to me was a way to put yourself over, to please yourself in a way, you know what I mean? As opposed to if you go out there and just like what you said, we got a beginning, we got an end, maybe a couple of things, in the middle that we want to do or whatever. Just I'll see you out there. We'll call it. And that was. I agree with you. It's a totally lost art because nobody can do it anymore. I mean, you got to be able to react to what that crowd wants you because you can tell what the crowd wants if you know what you're looking for. You know that. You can tell when to do a mini comeback. You can, and stuff like that. You can tell when it's time to start taking it home or, get to the baby face fire or, slow it down or whatever, and build them back up, and that's, again, it is totally lost art. And I mean, everybody just wants to go out there and do their stuff, and I heard, I was listening to whose podcast was, I believe it was Jim Cornette. So, but, which actually I really enjoy, but, Jim Cornette had said he doesn't understand how all these flippy guys, how nobody actually scouts out, you know what I mean? Like from a work standpoint, scouts out why wouldn't you just move? Why wouldn't you have that move scout out whenever they hit it 27,000 times? You know what I mean? And he's right, and I guess that goes back to what the whole concept in my head was with the Fight Underground stuff was, that's part of it. You know what I mean? Right. It should be a situation to where, hey, I scouted that out. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't necessarily have to tell somebody, or you could tell somebody right up, a fan right up there. I scouted that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I'm not going to let you hit me with this move in this match. You can beat me other ways. It's kind of like Paul Orndorff put this best, because Paul Orndorff, one of my favorites of all time. He did an interview, and I don't know where it's at. I saw it on YouTube, and he was talking about how there's psychology in football if you pay attention. And what he means by that is, if you notice, if you watch a closely contested game, the game starts to open up sometime in the third quarter because the halftime adjustments came in. They started to figure out what was working, and they made adjustments to what the other team was doing. And the better team usually starts to pull away. If you ever pay attention, most times in football, other times it can be still back and forth, but it makes sense. Like for instance, like the Browns are playing the Steelers this year. It's going to happen if there's a football season. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be, despite this virus stuff.
I hope so.
But if we go into the game, okay, and Roethlisberger's playing and he's healthy, okay, just factor his elbow's okay and he's healthy, we're probably going to game plan to try to have him not beat us unless they have depending on what they have and on offense as a weapon. I'm not sure who their running backs are or who their receivers are. They're going to make sure Roethlisberger and Juju Smith-Schuster do not beat them. Mm-hmm. We'll set up the defenses that versus, putting 8 guys in the box to stop a third-string running back or somebody. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Or if they're playing the Browns, they're going to make sure that they're going to figure out their own way to beat us. Well, the strength of the Steelers now, I would say, is their defense. Every year they have a top 5 defense. So the psychology is there. They're trying to beat the other team. Because what would happen with the NFL, instead if they're trying to beat each other, they did nothing but flea flickers and halfback passes. It would lose its meaning. It wouldn't mean anything. But if they do it at the right time when they're trying to win, fantastic. It's great. So it's just how you work it. It's just how that's my point. That there's psychology in football because one team is trying to win the game over the other team.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's really what it is. Any sport. You can find it in any sport. You can find it in baseball. You can find it in boxing. Just watch. And just yeah. Like if I was wrestling somebody, let's say it's Greg the Hammer Valentine in his prime, I'm going to do everything I can to not let him put me in the figure 4 laying box.
Right. Exactly. And that's your psychology in a match. Honestly, you have your psychology built in at that point.
Right there. Or if I'm wrestling Jake the Snake Roberts, he's not hitting me with that DDT.
Right.
And the first thing Jake should try to do is put me in the DDT.
Mm-hmm. You're teasing it. And if he does actually finally hit it to get the win, it means something. Whereas if you're able to reverse out of DDT, maybe do a quick schoolboy and get the win, it means something. I mean, that's the psychology to the match, and that's everything has a meaning. Just like what you said, everything has a meaning, and that's why even the young kids today, I try to tell them, even something as simple as a punch. Okay, you might think, oh well, the guy can't work because he's trying to punch. No, a punch, in my opinion, I could be wrong. Maybe you'll disagree. My opinion, a punch or chopping wood or whatever is simply a way to get someone from point A to point B to move them. You know what I mean? So if you're in the middle of the ring, you want them in the corner. You just want to push them in. You're just going to grab hold and immediately go for the Irish whip and back them in and then send them and everything else. Who in their right mind will let you do that? And, if it was real, you know what I mean? Whereas now, if I threw a punch, it doesn't have to be 20,000 punches. And I know people are excessive with that, but you throw one good solid punch, the person sells property, they're in the corner, you're right there where you want them. Right. And punch, that means something. That's the reason, and that's why I tell people, it's like, just ask yourself questions. What, where, when, you know what I mean? If you can answer questions that you would ask yourself, then you're on the right track at the very minimum, if not, succeeding.
If it were real, what would you do?
That's it. I mean, it's not hard. It really isn't, if you think about it. And I've said that a couple of times, and people kind of look at me it's like, it really isn't. I think people try to make it harder when it has to be. You know what I mean? You're exactly right, though. Like whenever I was in a match, and I'm sure I've seen you do it the same way. And just like what you said is not a whole hell of a lot was called. It was a situation to where, if you hit me with something, I reacted to it. And what would I do if I was in a real fight? Okay, well, if you're going to stand there and you're going to, play to the crowd or whatever and come back, I'm going to fire back at you. And you're going to know that. You know what I mean? You're going to expect that. And then, if you're the heel, you're going to cut me off when it's time to cut me off. And I know that that's coming. It really isn't as hard as you would think it would be. I think everybody puts more value into a move as opposed to what the meaning of the move is or how you got there. I think that's the important part.
And they're trying to get their quick clip on Facebook or Twitter.
Everybody wants a trend. You know what I mean?
Everybody wants a trend, which I'd rather sell tickets.
Absolutely. I mean, that's our job, right? Every 18 inches, put an ass in the seat.
Yeah. I'd rather sell tickets. And that's like the whole thing. I'd rather get people interested in me and believing me. One of the best compliments I ever got, and I would say this, was from, I think one of them was Jeff Gorman, and he put it in his book. He said, lose matches are the closest thing to a shoot you'll ever see. Meaning I wasn't stiff, but I believed in realism. I believed in making it look like a fight, making it look like a match.
And you did. I remember that. I remember like just being a trainee and, the last couple of months that you were there before I actually started wrestling stuff, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, you can't tell whether, you're pulling your punch or not. You know what I mean? It looked real, and that was, I mean, quite honestly, you're probably one of the people that I kind of patterned myself off of, was like, okay, that's how it has to be, and I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass just because I'm talking to you right now. There's others too, but you're one of them. I looked at that, I was like, people believe that, and that's the thing. You put that moment of doubt in somebody's mind, the people go in knowing, oh, it's fake. But then all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, I think that was real. You caught him right there and then. You got him in the palm of your hand. And it's a question of what you do from there. If you continue to build upon that, then, you're doing something right.
Yeah. The quick story I had was when I went to, you ever been to Vegas for Cauliflower Alley Club?
No, I want to go, but I have not made it there.
I did it twice, and that was before my girls were born. Maybe I will make it out there again someday. Just right now, I'm not going to pick up and drive, go across the country. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old at all. I'm not going to do that to my wife.
Right.
But maybe when they get older, I can make it out there. The whole point was they had a show, and it was like a really long, like 20 matches, all these people from all these different territories coming and doing this one huge show, and you walk in and out, and basically you come to the convention and watch the wrestling. Everybody went out there and tried to do every move they knew in 5 minutes. And I'm kind of like, I would have, what I would have done because Damian Wayne is one of my favorites. And when I was down in the Carolinas, and I worked with him, and I worked with Wardell Walker, just in that sentence, there's 3 former NWA national champions. I would have talked to Damian if I would have worked him. I would have went, Damian, look, what, because he was there, I think. I was talking to him about it. I said, wouldn't this have worked better if me and you would have just worked a lockup for a couple of minutes and made a big pull apart, and everybody thought we were really mad at each other and we were shooting? Like that. Could you imagine that we lock up and we're just going back and forth and we're not giving an inch and we're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and all of a sudden the locker room clears out and they got to pull us apart and we're pissed at each other and they think we're really mad? And
absolutely. You would have been the talk of the entire show.
What's that?
You would have been the talk of the entire show. People would have left there saying, holy crap. The other guy thought that was a cool move here, but I don't remember who the hell did it. But, those two they really were going at it. And I mean, honestly, like what you just said, that would work. That would work in today's standards. That would work in, definitely, years past. And quite honestly, call for our alley, that's a lot of the veterans and stuff, the guys that paved the way in the past. And at that point, they would have appreciated that a hell. At least I would venture to guess they would have appreciated that a hell of a lot more.
I had a chance to talk before he passed away to Nick Bachman.
Oh, that'd be great to talk to.
And his wife was there too. And I kind of said that, and I was just talking about the psychology and everything and how I was taught. And he was just, he agreed with me, and his wife agreed with me too. Terry Funk was the same way. Terry Funk actually used, these are Terry Funk's words. When I was there, Terry Funk was there with his wife, and he said, today it's like Circus du Soleil.
Oh, he's so right too.
Circus du Soleil now. That's my best Terry Funk impression. So that's
Terry Funk was great though, man. He was, I mean, he was somebody that it was somebody even in the NWA of the late 80s, what was it, when he did that stuff with Ric Flair? And he did a lot more before that, but even in your realistic based format of the NWA back in the day, he was still at I think the forefront as far as like, making it look real. I mean, it was just simply just grabbing a chair and just throwing it, randomly. You didn't see that stuff. And I mean, can you do it now? Sure, you can still make that work now. You just have to do it a little bit differently according to today's standards. That's all. That old, not I want to say the old stuff, but you know what I mean. The tried and true psychology of stuff still will work today if executed properly. It's just a matter of actually putting the work in, and it's exactly what going back to what Rip Rogers told you. You got to be able to put the work in. You know what I mean? And that's all it is. Everybody wants to get their shit in, and I mean, I know that's a cliche. It's been said so much anymore, but again, and that's what I tried to tell. Like one wrestler just recently on a show, and he's a very good wrestler, and does these great moves and everything else. And he did like 6 of them in a row. And he come back and goes, "What do you think?" I said, "I think you did a good job. I think, as far as like, getting the crowd to react, I think you have something." I said, "But the only thing that anybody's going to remember, and for the most part, is going to be that last one that you did. The other 5 don't mean anything." I said, "If you would have done a little bit differently to where you built to this, you know what I mean, and then hit it, you're going to get the crowd reaction. You know what I mean? If you built to this and hit it, you could have only done 2 of those 6, built to it properly and got a much bigger reaction as opposed to they got no reaction for the first 5. And the 6th one's like, okay, that was cool. That's not what I want. You know what I mean? I want that gradual build. I want people like, okay, what's going on? Oh, okay, do it. It's starting to build up. Oh, shit. You know what I mean? That's what I want. That's the pop. That's a pop."
Yeah. That's the pop. I think too, I had like, if you think about it too, and this, I'm not to divert this conversation to me, but if you saw the different types of guys I worked with and how I had matches with them, being able to adapt with what you're in the ring with is helpful. I mean, how many matches did I have with Denny Gregory? How many matches did I have with T. Ranchula? 2 totally different types of wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. And I must have had 1,000 matches with Denny, 1,000 matches with T. I'm definitely exaggerating, but T was a brawler. T was a big time brawler. He's a biker type, and then Denny was the golden boy, and he was a great wrestler. So I mean, and then there's other matches I've had. I'm trying to remember, but those are the 2 ones I probably had the most matches with in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Easily was them 2, and then
you and Paul Atlas had some good ones too, but you guys were kind of more the same style, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they were good matches. They were good wrestling matches, and again, it's a lost art. It was even a lost art back then. It's definitely now.
DiNucci, wasn't he trained by Dominic DiNucci?
Yeah, he had his training with DiNucci, and him and Brian, and I believe T was there. He came. I think T Ranchula came a little bit after him. I'm not entirely sure. I just know what bits and pieces that over the years I've heard from Paul or Brian or T or whatever.
I worked Paul. This is a true story. It's in '96. It was like right after I just started. Paul and I had this really good match, and there was the show when Shane Douglas was on, and Dominic DiNucci was there because Shane was there, and Dominic watched me, and he came up to me and he says, "You know what you're doing?" I was like, "Thank you, sir. It's very honored to meet you. That means a lot." He thought it was a great match, and I guess Paul told him later that he was trained by Charlie Fulton, and Dominic's like, "That's all I need to know." Yep, that makes sense, because Dominic and Charlie were both at the WWF together, so they were good friends. And I guess and Dominic was very well respected teacher, and so was Charlie. So
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, to this day, you say, can you believe I actually said to one very recent student, I said, I was trained by Paul Atlas and Brian Anthony. I also, his head shrinker, Samu, I learned a whole lot from him for 2 years. You know what I mean? But I was trained by Paul and Brian, who were trained by Dominic Danucci. And he's kind of looked at me, just like this blank stare. I said, do you know who Dominic Danucci is? He's like, no. I was like, yeah, you need to go back and look at a little bit of history then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No,
Well, there's
no,
people
this stuff comes.
they don't know who Lou Thez was.
Yeah,
you know,
ain't that crazy?
or Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, or I mean, wow, it's just wow. Nature Boy Buddy, or even Gorgeous George. Gorgeous George was the first. You think about it, in the 1940s and 50s.
Yeah,
he's having his nails done and his hair permed, and he's walking to the ring, prancing and acting all pretty and perfumed and stuff. That was unheard of back then.
And they got a ton of heat. It's amazing you said that. I literally, like, last week, I watched a series of Gorgeous George matches, like 1949, I believe it was. And it just to kind of pick up, like, you can pick up stuff off of there too, definitely. Like, there's actually a couple of different kind of looking arm drags that he did was really cool, and I haven't seen, you know what I mean? And I'm not really talking about the move, but the actual thing was, he had the servant who had the whole tray and the gloves and everything. You know what I mean? Like, he went all out with it too. I think, honestly, again, that's something that from 1949, I think if you put it out there today, it would still get a reaction.
Oh,
because he embraced the character and took it, above and beyond, as opposed to just saying, hey, I'm this, and only, what's a good example? Let's say you're a nerd in wrestling, and all you do is have the pocket protector, and that's it. Okay, well, you're really not. You just have a pocket protector. But if you're a nerd in wrestling, you got the glasses, you got this laugh, and you actually pull out a calculator in the middle of your match and shit like that. It's a character. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's completely realistic, but it is entertaining, and there is a place for entertainment as much as there is for realism.
Did you ever hear my gimmick idea that I had? We could have done anybody with this. This was in the late 90s when the message boards were big.
No.
And the character was going to be from cyberspace, and he's going to be called Anonymous. It's going to be the modem. You can hear the modem.
Right, yeah, the old, I got you.
All black and a black mask, and he'll be anonymous. He's the terror of the internet. He's from cyberspace. Oh,
you're ahead of your time.
Oh yeah, that would have been awesome, because people would be like, "That is." I was going over that with Kingdom James, and Jim. I think I bounced that idea off of Jim, and he went, "Oh my God, that's too funny." Because sometimes you go with things and it makes it better. And a good example of that was an interview I heard. This is in 1957. The Exotic Adrian Street had his first match when he was 17 years old in England. Okay, I think it was because his dad was a Welsh coal miner. He was actually Welsh, and his idol was Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. So he was tan and he had a powder blue tights on, and he came out and he thought he was going to get this reaction like Nature Boy Buddy Rogers did, but that crowd was hooting and hollering and whistling at him and saying what's today would be considered homophobic slurs, but they were calling him a fag over and over again. And he realized he was getting a reaction. So he started blowing kisses and prancing around, and it got worse. So he got more of a reaction. He's like, this is what I'm going to do from now on. He became that's the origins of the Exotic Adrian Street, which basically was a punk rock transgender. If you think about it, he was the first to do that. And if you look at some of the inspiration from that gimmick, became Gold Dust with Dustin Rhodes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I was trying to put that out. So a lot of times I tell young guys, I mean, you might not think, hey, I got this persona, I want to do this. Well, you know what? You might get a different reaction. You better go with it. Like, I remember when I had a bunch of heat at one time, and they were calling me the independent superstar on those message boards. Did you remember that? It was 99, 2000.
I think I do. That was back when we did the split thing you do, PWX and PWO.
I started coming out to Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, that's the greatest theme song ever. Entrance song ever, man. I tell you what.
And I stole it from Superstar Billy Graham, but I started doing that. I remember Jim was nervous about that too.
Really? Why?
He thought somebody was going to get offended. But I told him, if somebody says something, I'll stop. We'll just try it. And he said, okay. So he agreed with me on that. I said, and then nobody did. The reaction was amazing because people thought, because the people on the, oh yeah, he thinks he's the superstar. Look at his theme music. I said, good. I got heat. Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best part is that's something that's based in realism too. You know what I mean? Because it really was being said about you. So you're just like, okay, well, I can take this and run. And you did, And I mean, you've reinvented yourself several times over the years, but at the same time, you've always been true to yourself, if that makes sense. And I think that's what has allowed you to be very successful in what you've done. That's just my opinion again. But, I mean, you figured what, 96, 97, you're kind of doing the shooting stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
99, 2000, like you just said, you did the independent superstar, kind of really cocky, but you're still doing the same. You're still true to yourself with the same tight style, and just like we said, there's a difference between tight and stiff. Stiff is unsafe. Tight is good, And then you came back, we did the 216 click. What was that, 2008, 2009?
Yeah. And you know what would have made that gimmick so much better is if the Browns were actually competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, like if we did that today, with Baker Mayfield and Odell and stuff like that, that's a different ball game. Instead, you had Tim Couch at that point. That sucks.
What
really sucks for Cleveland is the fact that you guys don't. What's that?
I would have Roethlisberger say, "Get that old man out here. He's going to still throw the ball."
Yeah, exactly. That's it. The thing that it's weird, and it kind of irritates me sometimes when people say, "Well, Cleveland's never won anything." You're wrong, because before there was a Super Bowl, they were the most dominant football team over the course of a decade. From what, like 50, actually more than that, probably 51, even before that. What was they win for 49?
They joined the NFL in 1950. They were a part of the All-American Football Conference, and 3 teams came from that league: the Cleveland Browns, the San Francisco 49ers, and they were called the Miami Seahawks. But then when they went to the NFL, they relocated to Baltimore and became the Baltimore Colts. Okay, so those 3 teams came the first year in the NFL. The Browns won the championship. So they won 4 AAFC World Championships and won 4 NFL championships. So yes, they have 8.
And you did that in what, like an 11 or 12-year period too?
We did it in 18 years, from 1946 to 1964. The last major sports championship until 2016 in Cleveland was the 1964 Cleveland Browns. They beat the Baltimore Colts in the NFL championship game. Yep, and that was before the AFL was around. So that was truly the last NFL World Championship, because the AFL thing started the next year or 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I believe so. And then the first Super Bowl was in 67. Actually, it was like January 68 for the 67 season, I believe.
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Somebody can correct me on that. But and a lot of, Paul Brown was the founder of the team, and he was the guy. Well, the thing I think screwed up the Browns-Steelers rivalry, we can go into that, is that the move, when the team moved, the Baltimore became the Ravens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the year after, Cleveland didn't have a team, I think, for, was it 3 or 4 years?
3 years. We got an expansion team, and they had to put that team together in 10 months. And that's basically, we sucked for 2 decades.
Yeah. Did they even do it like an actual draft, like they did for remember they did that for,
Houston?
Yeah, Houston. That's it.
Houston was the last expansion team after us.
Right. They actually had like a draft where you can only protect so many players or whatever, and then they got the pool. I don't think Cleveland got that, did they? Yeah. You guys didn't get that.
We got that.
You did? It just wasn't. It wasn't nothing to pick from, I guess.
Oh, no. There's some decent players, but nobody. I mean, there was people why they were unprotected. So
right.
and the thing was, this is how much of a work it was. Okay, in 1995, a lot of people don't know. I'm explaining this. 95, when the move was announced, we were tied for first place with the Steelers in the division. Okay, and the move was announced. We only won 1 more game after that year. The day that was announced was a Monday. The very next day, we were voting on remodeling the old stadium for the Browns. The county was voting on it, and it passed by an 20% margin. 80% of people still came out and voted for it. Mm-hmm. So when they still had 3 years on their lease left, so when they went to the NFL and they said, "How can you do this? We just did that." So he said, "Look, I have to move. I'm broke. I can't like this." I mean, it was like a day late and a dollar short. He needed a new facility. He needed a new stadium. What Art Modell was doing, he was paying for the upkeep of that old stadium to keep the Indians from moving. But in return, he got all the concession revenue from the Indians games. Well, the Indians just relocated to a new stadium, so he didn't have that anymore.
That's right. They moved to Jacobs Field. That's right.
So what the city should have done was say, if we're building a new stadium for the Indians, we're building a new arena for the Cavaliers, we got to take care of the Browns. They didn't do it. That's where the city dropped the ball, and that's where he had a good case to do it. However, he could have not done it in the middle of the year. He did it thinking they wouldn't pass that. He still had 3 years on his lease with the city of Cleveland that was airtight. So we'll say we negotiated a deal. We told the NFL, well, we'll let him out of it if you give us keep the history, the name, the colors, everything about the Browns. You either relocate a team here or we get an expansion team. We'll have a stadium built for you by 1999. They had to rush that stadium. They had to do this, and they're already talking about now within the next 10 years of building a new one, because that one, it's not even up to date right anymore because it's been 20 years. So,
right.
So, but the owners of this team, the owners now, and it was Al Lerner that let Art Modell buy him out so he could move the team, and it was on Al Lerner's jet where that deal with Baltimore happened. Okay,
mm-hmm.
This is the truth. When that deal with Baltimore happened, Al Lerner became the owner of the expansion Browns. Yeah. And he passed away in 2001 before they made it to the playoffs. The only time they made the playoffs was that year. They brought in a bunch of free agents to have a good enough team to make the playoffs because they knew he was dying.
Yeah, did they? Kelly Holcomb was your quarterback, right?
Kelly Holcomb was a quarterback.
See, I pulled one out there.
Was it Tommy Maddox that was the quarterback of the Steelers?
Yes. Yeah, it was Maddox that year, I believe. I think so. Yeah.
I remember watching that game, and once Dennis Northcutt dropped that pass, I said, we're going to fucking lose. I knew it. I knew it. That's all I said, I knew it. So, but anyway, I explained it. When I tell people the whole story, they're like, wow. And I said, yeah, it was a total work. So what happened, they said, here, you want a team, here you go. So you 10 months is not enough time. Carmen Policy actually went to Lerner because he was president of the Browns at the time, said, we need another year to get ready. And he's like, no, we already sold the tickets. We can't do it. And he wanted to delay it a year, which probably would have set him up a lot better. And their first, but it is what it is. It's 20 years ago. I'm not even mad about it anymore. If you remember, Art Modell had to sell his team anyway after all of that.
Yeah, that's right.
He did. He still had to sell the team. And the thing was, the guy that made that Baltimore Ravens team good was Ozzie Newsome. He was their general manager. He took the job to go to Baltimore. So it was just something that was just, it like I said, the Baltimore people, they wanted a team badly because they got screwed by the Colts.
No, the Colts literally left in the middle of the night to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Remember that? The Mayflower trucks in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's something. After what happened with the Browns, and I will say this, I do appreciate the Steeler fans supporting us because we made a Herculean effort to keep our team. We fought to keep our team and we won because the Browns didn't move. They paused. They paused for 3 years because at that point they became the Baltimore Ravens. So, and then the Baltimore Ravens, those were our championships that we won there. But Art Modell had to sell the team anyway. Everybody that was involved in that is now dead. That's how long ago it was. So it's that
was a long time ago. It's hard to imagine that, but that was.
It's 1995. Yeah, 95. But isn't that strange how that happened? Like he became the owner of the team, after helping the guy move. So
yeah, amazing coincidence.
Yeah. So, then what happened was after Al Lerner died, Randy Lerner took over, and he was terrible as an owner. He was awful. He was a son. He really wasn't focused on it. He kept trying. I mean, and the thing that any Browns fan would be jealous about with the Steelers fans, the Steelers are the gold standard of consistency and stability in the NFL. Browns are not. Browns are the exact opposite. I mean, it's true. It's true. I'm just speaking the truth. I hate to say it, but it's true. And that's the truth. I mean, they've had 3 coaches in 50 years. 3.
Yeah, that is true.
Mike Tomlin. I couldn't tell you how many GMs they have. I think the current GM's been there since 2000. Is it Colbert? Yeah,
Colbert, and then before him was Tom Donahue, and I think he was there for quite a while as well, if I'm correct.
See, I was very young when Chuck Noll had those dynasty teams playing. I was born in 73, so I vaguely remember it. But I remember the thing I remember was, back then, the NFL, if you had if the Browns, when the Browns were playing at home, we didn't see the games on TV unless it was sold out 24 hours before kickoff.
Yep.
That was one game a year, and that was the Steelers game. One game a year was the Steelers game. That was it. Yeah, a lot of times there's games that were blacked out. Nowadays, every game's on TV. You have a Thursday night, you have a Monday night, you have a Saturday night, you have all these.
Yeah. You even got the NFL Red Zone where they go to each game as soon as somebody gets inside the 20-yard line.
Yeah, it's just.
Which I like, but.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. So, I think that, but if you understand what I'm saying, the Steelers were the model of consistency and stability. And, the last owner was Jimmy Haslam. He bought the team in 2012, and he's been turning over coaches and GMs left and right. And this is just another one. And we're just saying, okay, we hope you get it right. Because the big joke was they were going to have the new GM's press conference. They had it on February 3rd, which is the day after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. And someone joked and said they should have had it on Groundhog Day. They kept it over and over again.
Right.
What's new? So, yeah.
The talent is there, though. I mean, the talent is there to be a really good Super Bowl contending team, I think. Yeah. I think it's been and quite honestly, who was the GM that just got fired? I forget his name. I don't know why I can remember his name.
John Dorsey.
Yeah. He built that team. You probably completely disagree. I don't know, but I don't think he did a bad job. I think where they screwed up was Kitchens had success at the end of the last half of the 1 year, and then they kind of gave him the job, and I'm not sure he was fully prepared for it. Was the thing. But Dorsey, I think, has built a pretty good team.
His first game, they had 18 penalties and 3 turnovers, and they got
that's coaching. That's a lack of discipline. That's coaching.
Yeah. That was against the Tennessee Titans at home, and I just remember just the shots of the fans be like, "Is this fucking happening?" I mean, you made me buy into this, and they brought in a guy. Well, the thing is the reason why Dorsey was fired because he didn't want Kitchens to be fired, and I know it fired Kitchens. I know it did. There was one moment, and I couldn't believe he did this. It was after the Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph thing happened, and if I remember correctly, he had a T-shirt on and he had a picture taken with a fan that said Pittsburgh started it. Because there's a guy with shirts out there that had a T-shirt saying Pittsburgh started it because Mason Rudolph tried to take off Garrett's helmet, and then Garrett
he absolutely started it.
Yeah, something like it. Yeah, because it was a nationally televised Thursday night game, and that was just surreal. I couldn't believe it. If you remember watching it live, you didn't know what was happening because the play went the other way. And the next thing you know, you see Marquise Pouncey kicking Garrett. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, what the hell happened? We got into a fight. Okay. Then I saw what happened. I went, oh, shit, he's getting suspended the rest of the year. As soon as he did that, I knew it. I said, there's no way. I mean, he's reinstated now.
Yeah, I did see that, yeah.
And the moment he did that, he was in the wrong. So, and then we were about to go into Pittsburgh and play, and that was probably our best chance of beating them in Pittsburgh in years. It was. Mm-hmm. It was. I mean, it was. And I said, we had Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb at running back. Run the fucking ball. I mean, I'm screaming.
It's not a hard concept.
Yeah, I'm screaming at the TV. Why are you not running the ball? But, he wasn't ready. He wasn't because he wore that shirt. And then I remember watching the pregame show with Bill Cowher. He was fired up. He said, he's acting like a fan and not a head coach. And I'm going, oh, shit. You just gave him bulletin board material. And then when we went in there and we lost that game, I was like, that's it. He's done. I said, he's done. I could tell you exactly what moment every Browns coach lost. They're about their job. I can tell you. Well, no.
Yeah, you're right, though. I agree with that, actually.
Dorsey wanted to die on that hill. He didn't want to give up Freddie. And then he says, well, if he's going to go, then I'm going to go. And the owner said, okay, bye. I'm not going to have a game. I mean, it was just a lack of discipline and that was just, that was dumb. That was just stupid.
Yeah.
You don't do that shit. No. And so the bulletin board material, you just don't give it to them. So, and I'm talking to you from somebody that knows football, that respects the game. And that was wrong. So,
because, you're a head coach. You put yourself in a situation if you're a head coach and when your players did it and it got out and there's a controversy, what do you got to do as a head coach? You got to reprimand them somehow, even if it's just a talking to or a suspend, whatever it is. But you still got to, for a head coach to do that, you're supposed to be one to set an example. So I can understand that being an issue. I don't know if it's a fireable offense. I think it's maybe more of an excuse. But at the same time, I understand.
Yeah.
Like you said, the biggest thing is bulletin board material, and emotion goes a long way as far as carrying somebody a lot farther than what they should go. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. And I mean, but I will say this, after that, don't tell me the rivalry's dead now.
No, it's very much alive.
Yeah.
My big question is, what the hell was Rudolph thinking going back after Garrett? Garrett could have just grabbed him by the throat and choke slammed him through the damn turf if he wanted to. Rudolph's an idiot. He didn't even have a helmet on, and he went after him.
I'm going to say this about Myles Garrett. I being a Cleveland fan and following the team like I have, for him to do that was uncharacteristic of him. That he's not like that. He's not like that. He's not a James Harrison's like a silverback. He's just mean. Yeah. He's not like that. He's not like that at all. He's not. When he talks, at least when he's speaking to the media and the things that I've seen, but maybe, he's not like that. So that's what they said. That's why the speculation. Now, whether something was said to him by Mason Rudolph, I heard that accusation. I wasn't there. I'm not going to put words in Rudolph's mouth. I'm not. Right. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say for sure he did it but I mean, something could have set him off or something happened. But there's a lot of emotion that comes into a game. And it was the weirdest thing because that was the first time the Browns beat the Steelers in 5 years. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it felt like a loss.
Yeah, because you knew you were getting, like you said, you knew Garrett was done for the year. And it wasn't there a couple others guys. I know Pouncey got suspended. I don't understand how Rudolph got away scot-free. He's the one. If Rudolph doesn't go after Garrett, it stops right there and then.
Yeah.
In my opinion. You know what I mean? So if that's the case, then how is he not suspended as well? And I'm a Steelers fan. I'm a hardcore Steelers fan. I was, like you said, you're born in 73, so was I. I remember being 5 years old watching the Steelers and Cowboys. I definitely remember the Steelers and Rams in 79. So that's, But you know what I mean? Personally, I think Rudolph should have been suspended as well. Because the whole thing ends if he doesn't go back after Garrett. Yeah.
I mean, there would have been a 15-yard penalty, removing the helmet. He probably wouldn't even have been suspended if Rudolph wouldn't have gone after him.
Right.
No, yeah, but it's either here or it's speculation. But going back and turning that into wrestling, I would have capitalized on that if I was still working in Pittsburgh. I probably would have needed security. But I messaged you right after that happened. I was like, man, what did
you did? Yeah. How much heat could we get now? I was like, oh my God. Talking about white hot heat.
Well, I remember, I forgot who was telling me this. A lot of the guys at the PWX locker room, like when that was happening at the PWXs in 2009, 2010, the Browns sucked. And I kept running my mouth, which probably made it better. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it probably did.
It probably did. But I remember that too. And I remember that was the game when I knew Mangini lost his team because James Harrison destroyed one of our receivers, and the referee threw a flag, but he threw it on our center for kicking the ball out of bounds. And I'm like, I lost it. I'm watching this, and I posted that on Facebook. I went off about it. And I said, what, you got the referees wearing those penalty flags or terrible towels they're waving? But the thing was, I actually had a case. It's true. I had a case. And I was telling guys, I got into a Twitter spat with a guy about it. And I said, don't come to me about player safety. When you had James Harrison laying our guys on, they weren't throwing the flag on him. And right. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, they don't remember that. And I said, oh, yeah. We want to talk about player safety. Where was it when that happened? And I said, I remember our defense actually played very aggressive when we were actually leaving Steelers players laying for that game, that Thursday night game. And Denny Gregory tried to say, oh, your team was head on. I said, no, I remember those games. Yeah, I don't want to hear it. No. I said, what Myles Garrett did was wrong. That was wrong. Once he swung that helmet, he was in the wrong. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going to hear that. No. You're not going to come back to me saying our team head on him. No. I'm not going to have that happen. So it would have been, if we would have came back into Pittsburgh and beat them, I think what caused the emotion of that game probably was our coach wearing that stupid shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. So.
I think so. Like you said, it was definitely bulletin board material. There's no doubt about that. Tolman probably couldn't wait to put that up,
Oh,
if I was a head coach, I'd be like, oh, I got it. This is it. This is what I need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Someone did that. Yeah, I know Cowher would have done it.
No,
Coward.
yeah. I mean, Coward did do it on national television. And if you think about like what you said, he was going
Yeah,
nuts on it.
yeah. Well, this is the thing too. I met Coward when he played for the Browns. He was a linebacker for the Browns,
Yeah.
and he was assistant coach under Schottenheimer for years before he got the Steelers head coach. Now he was the defensive coach of the Chiefs. I met Coward because in '82 strike year, they were practicing by my school in a field. Yeah, Clay Matthews, Ozzie Newsome, Bill Cowher. I mean, Clay Matthews isn't in the Hall of Fame yet, but he's going to be there. There's 3 Hall of Famers I got to meet.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so it's just like I said, understanding when you have you taking the realism of something and putting it into a work really adds to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you can do that. Like what you said earlier, you can do that in anything, any sport, anything really. I mean, you can work if you're a high school student, 2 high school students, and work a fight down there and make it look real, you're going to get suspended. You know what I mean? That's a shitty analogy, but
God, I know we kind of digressed a lot in this conversation, but God, that 216 click, and the whole angle was we were trying to get Adam Pearson to give me a shot at the NWA World Title, and I'm cutting these promos. I'm doing all this stuff. I was the first one doing that. That was before there was really YouTube or Facebook. It was there, but it wasn't there. You know what I mean? I was doing it, but I was the first one to actually start doing it, and I was actually using Facebook to market. And I was drawing. We were drawing. I remember that we were putting asses in the seats. I didn't care if people were they showing my spots? Ooh, look at that flip. Look at that. No, they're like, this guy. I want to see him get beat. I mean, we even did a title controversy with who was that with? Who was that with? Chris Taylor.
That sounds about right. That'd be about the time period with him. Yeah.
Yeah, it was with Chris Taylor. We did so we kept it going, and I remember just having those matches, and it was just, oh my God, it was just so easy. I think
it was. I remember that first night after it was all said and done. You come up to me with this big smile on your face, and I'm like, "You're like, that worked." I said, "Oh my God, did that work?" that was one of the moments I still can picture it happen. I mean, people wanted to riot at that stuff. It was awesome. It was great.
That's heat. I mean, Rob Macy was in the crowd, who was the Grim Reaper in Smoky Mountain, came up to me and said, "Dude, you got white hot heat." It was like, yeah. But I got the job in North Carolina, and I went, and it was like the NWA went through. This is the thing that killed me, because Bob Trovich, and I don't care if he hears this or not, he sent an email out like, "What are you trying to accomplish?" And I said, "Do you see what we're doing?" You remember that? I was this.
Yeah. You sent me that email. I remember that. It's like this. In my opinion, this guy doesn't have any clue what's going on at all.
I mean, you could say, look, here's one territory that's drawing, and that they got this huge angle. They got all this. What's behind this? What's this guy doing? Oh, hey, yeah. And you want to know what I could tell when somebody gets it? Adam Pearce came up to me. I saw him a few years later in Virginia on a show. He came with me and he hugged me. He said, "That was so damn good." He goes, "We could have killed it. We could have made some money." He knew it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the build was, I mean, it was there, and I mean, and that was the thing. It was like, you were going above and beyond to try to make it work. You know what I mean? And honestly, I told you, and I don't know if you believe, I was trying my hardest to try to get the attention of anybody. And it was like falling on deaf ears. It's so frustrating, and it was, I kind of guess, ironic in a way that, like I said earlier, you had to actually leave, you know what I mean, and move to actually get recognized for what you were capable of doing, and 3-time NWA national champion. That's with Dusty Rhodes, that's big business.
Yeah, the replica of the belt's behind me, if everybody's watching this. And well, this is interesting because I met Bruce Tharp after he took ownership, and him and I talked, and he rode in the car with me, and he met my wife, and we were talking about it. And I kind of explained to him like why I was doing all this stuff and what my motivation was. And he thought, believe it or not, if my daughter, if we didn't have our daughter, who knows? I could have. That's when I left. Is when my wife and I dropped the national belt to Jack Stain in Nashville, Tennessee, And I just said, I'm going to take some time off. I was banged up. I needed some time to heal. And I just said, I'm going to be a dad. It didn't really, I mean, it would have been nice to do, but, I wasn't really too held up on doing it. I honestly thought, by that time, the Carolina promoter that was in the relationship with the NWA, that was kind of on the outs at the time that I got, and a lot of it's politicking, but I wasn't really too bent out of shape to do that because I had the Eastern States belt. I had the Eastern States belt back there. It's over my shoulder. Let me see. You can see it. That's the Eastern States belt there.
Okay.
And, Harley Race signed it. He presented it to me the night I won it.
Oh, so that's awesome there. That's a memory right there.
Yeah. So it goes a long way to see that. So, I didn't want to, think too much and, too much into it at the time, but they were really high up on it. And the only thing I didn't get a chance to do that I would have loved to were two things. I didn't get a chance to wrestle for the NWA World Title because I was supposed to have a match with Conway, but something came up where we couldn't do it. And then the other one was I didn't get a chance to go to Japan. That almost happened. I don't know if you knew that story or not. I almost won the NWA Tag Team Championship in Japan.
Oh, really?
Well, Tenzan and Kojima had it at the time. And if I'm not mistaken, and they were supposed to put over Damian Wayne and Lance Erickson. Lance Erickson couldn't get a passport. And he was in a situation because he was on probation. And he kept telling him he's going to get it. And I say, hey, we need this. Well, he kept trying to get it, but he couldn't. And if he would have maybe been upfront about it earlier, he might have figured out a way to do it because Bruce Stark was a defense attorney. He could have maybe helped him somehow. I don't know how the law works in that, but he was afraid he was going to lose his spot, of course, which makes sense. And he kept trying to tell them that he was going to get it, and then he wasn't. Then he apologized he couldn't. By the time all was said and done, GX Dane told me they were ready to send me into Japan with Damian Wayne to win the tag belts in Japan. That would have been sweet, but it didn't happen. By the time they got to that point, I think it was all New Japan. Forget it. They said, forget it. We don't want to do it. So it would have been nice to go to Japan and do that. And I think, and looking back, I can understand why Lance was trying to keep his spot. It just happens. But, it is, there's things I wish I could have done that I didn't. Like you, I mean, there's some regrets you had. You were talking about it. You could have possibly tried out for the Steelers or tried out for NFL, but you don't know. You could have been one play away from never doing anything again. So
right. That's exactly it. I held the NWA North American title, and just a few months in, I had 2 tours of Japan set up, 2 3-week tours of Japan, and tore my ACL. So I was like, okay, well, so much for that. And then there's times I even sit there and think, like, man, what would have happened if I just would have went anyways? But how the hell am I going to perform on a torn ACL? You know what I mean? You just can't do it. So, I mean, the one really good thing I did was I did get a chance to wrestle for the NWA World title. It was, the NWA World title against the North American title. It was a title versus title. It was down somewhere borderline of Virginia, West Virginia. And this actually somewhat of a funny story, I guess. We're supposed to do a third. Gary Steele was the champion at the time. He's from England. And supposed to do a 30-minute Ironman. And so we're like, okay, we're planning everything out. As the match getting ready to be announced, the announcer announces this next match will go Broadway. So now that might have went over several people's heads, but at the same time, anybody that's a wrestling fan is like, he just gave away the finish. And that's, I remember looking at Gary, and Gary goes, did he just say, in his English accent, did he just say what I think? I said, yeah, he just gave away the fucking finish. He goes, what do we do? And like his music started playing first. Why the world's champions going on first, I don't know. But his music plays. I said, I'll see you out there. I'll talk to. Or Rich Arpin was the freaking. I don't know if you remember Rich Arpin or not, but he was.
I remember Arpin. Awesome Arpin.
He's sitting there. I go over. I said, hey, we got a problem. He goes, what's that? I said, your ring announcer just announced the finish. He goes, what do you mean? And I go, he just said the next match is going to go Broadway. And Arpin's just looking at me. Like, it was almost as if he didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I said, he just said we're going to go to time limit draw. So what do you want us to do? And I said, we can just, go 30 minutes and just battle out and get a double count or double DQ, whatever. He goes, hold on, let me think. My music's hitting now, right? And finally he comes up, he goes, okay, I got it. I said, what? He goes, go 30 minutes anyways and just do a double count out. I said, that's a great fucking idea, dude. We went out there, we did do our 30 minutes, we got a double count out, but so yeah.
Yeah, that's just
The look on your face, I knew you got it as soon as I said the word Broadway.
I'm like, well, did you ever hear this story in North Carolina before I got my run with the NWA? And I had to head this off at the pass because I was working a show for Shockwave Entertainment Wrestling, and it was in Havelock. And this guy was announcing where people were coming in and everything. He's like, all workers to the back, all workers to the back. And I looked at him and I'm like doing this. I'm like, shut up, stop it. And then he looks at me, he smiles, and goes, workers. He kept saying it. I said, come on. I brought him to the locker room. Hey, have a seat. We're going to talk. And he's like, I'm not sitting. So guess what I did?
You slapped him nicely. It's even better.
Slapped him. And I left a handprint on his face. And the whole locker room just came in and broke us up. And people were like, I can't believe you put your hands on him. I said, he's lucky he's still standing and he can talk. That's what I said. And
yeah,
said,
it's ridiculous. I mean, what is wrong with people?
Yeah.
You know
so
what I mean?
I had to call Cue Ball Carmichael. I had to call Johnny Lightning. I had to let them call Tharp and get out ahead of this. And when Cue Ball told all the old timers what I did, Manny Fernandez came up to me and hugged me.
That's awesome. Manny Fernandez is old school too.
I did a couple training sessions with him. Holy cow! In Columbia, South Carolina. Because when you're working on the independents and you're working with guys that can't work, you get put in a bad habits to protect yourself. And Manny switched that. So yeah, that's the truth. I did that, and that was it. It was called for a while there in the Carolinas. They were calling it getting Marconi, was slapping.
That's awesome.
It was good. It was funny because I guess God, who the hell was it? Somebody was talking in Cauliflower Alley. It was the midget wrestler. And he was talking, yeah, all the great workers in the business. And Tharp just looked at him and says, "You going to slap them?"
Maybe.
He thought it was funny when I did that. They knew about it. There was a little bit of fear that I was a hothead. That's what got back to me. But when I went and worked for them in Houston a couple of times, I made sure I was extra professional and extra nice. And, they thought, they didn't think anything of it at that point, but they understood the old school. I mean, because Bruce Tharp's father was Eddie Graham's ring announcer in Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, that's dating back some history right there.
Yeah, he grew up around the business. So, he knew Mike Graham before he passed away and everything. Yeah, you talk about a guy that drew money for years in Florida. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, and the other things too. So, I mean, I think there was something else because they were talking about Florida a lot when it was the Dark Side of the Ring. You ever watch those on Vice?
Yeah. Those are actually pretty good.
Yeah, they're very good, but they didn't go into Florida as much, but that's where Kevin Sullivan really made his bones, really made himself known. He drew a lot of money there. That's where he met Nancy, of course. Mm-hmm. The one thing I think they dropped the ball on with the Jimmy Snuka was when that happened with Jimmy Snuka and his girlfriend, and when that supposed meeting with the police, that wasn't Vince McMahon Jr. that was meeting with the police. That was Vince McMahon Sr. So they made it look like it was Junior. Like it was a current Vince McMahon today. No, it wasn't. It was Vince McMahon Sr.
Okay, yeah. Right.
The police and probably had a lawyer with them, and I don't know the entire ins and outs of the case, but yeah. And it was interesting too because Johnny Rod's wife and Charlie Fulton's wife are sisters. Yeah. So when I went to Charlie's funeral in 2016, and Johnny Rod's wife Ellen was there with the kids and everything, and Johnny Rod's wasn't there, but Ellen was there, so I talked to her for a little bit. It was just weird seeing that. She was the one that introduced Jimmy Snuka to his girlfriend. She had an Andre the Giant story that was hilarious. And I've heard a lot of stories about Andre, but this one was good. I guess Johnny Rod's picked up Andre at the airport, and she was in a laundromat doing laundry, of course. And so Johnny said, let's rib my wife. So Andre walks into the laundromat, points at her and yells, "Hey lady, where's my underwear?" The laundromat full of people. And she turns around and she's like, "Oh, hi, Andre." It was just fun. That's a story.
Yeah.
That would, I mean, 7'4", 500-pound Andre with the afro.
the Afro Andre, yes.
Before Big John Stud cut his hair. Oh my God. So yeah, those this sometimes you get so many really good stories. The one thing I wanted to get on before we head out here, because I know I don't want to keep it longer than an hour and a half. Yeah, just like because we talked about a lot of different things and went all over the place. The one thing I remember Norm telling me before I started with you guys, and this is when you were just starting out too, was, don't go in there with an ego. That's what Norm told me. I was like, okay. Well, if you remember, I don't know if you remember, everybody on that show got on the mic. Everybody. So I'm in the locker room and I'm the last match, and we actually have a promo to do, and we're supposed to do something. And I came up with something, and all I said when the mic got to me was, "I don't need a microphone to get over."
I do remember that.
Because Tommy Dreamer told me this months before that. Make yourself stand out. Make yourself stand out, which is like, if everybody else is talking, don't talk.
Don't talk. Exactly.
If everybody else is wrestling, brawl. If everybody else is brawling, wrestle. Stuff like that. Because why do what everybody else is doing? How are you going to make yourself different than anybody else? Make yourself stand out. So I did that. And instead of going around the ring and slapping hands, I walked straight to the ring and straight back. If you ever watched my matches, I did that.
Yeah, I remember that too. I remember you going straight in. Yep.
Straight in and straight out. Because that's what Charlie told me to do, because you look bigger. You look bigger when you do that. It's an old, all the old school stuff to do. So I started doing, I don't need a microphone to get over. And I think that might have got me some heat.
Well, it's the truth though. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the compliments you gave me. I didn't bring you on here to do that. Because one of the things Norm and I talked about a lot with you was the potential you had, because you had a great look. You had a phenomenal look, and you were able to work like, and we could do something with Quinn. I remember that Quinn Magnum, you were saying that. It's the truth. It's the truth. I remember working with you that one time. I said, "Oh yeah, I can work with this guy. Yeah, he just needs time and season." But the thing is that I had to explain to Jim in 2000 when I came back was why, I might have been acting the way I was. Things were going down, and a lot of it was, Norm was in my ear a lot. I'm not going to blame it on Norm. I blame myself. But the things I was hearing was how guys weren't willing to put me over, and I don't know if that was completely true or not. So that's what I was going to ask you. From what you remember, do you remember that?
I don't remember. I don't remember anybody necessarily coming right out and saying, "I'm not going to put Lou Marconi over." I do remember a few having reservations as far as like, if Lou comes back in, is it going to be the same thing as before? And I never really understood that, to be honest with you. If you remember when we did the whole mix thing with the PWX PWL, you were the guy from the PWX side that I wanted to lead the charge for PWX against PWL, because the whole thing was me and you almost going face to face. If you remember that, I remember that. I don't know why, because I remember we went face to face, and I got out, and you came out of the ring and come back down after me. You know what I mean? And at that point, it was almost like a situation where the PWL guys are trying to pull me away, and PWX guys are trying to pull you away. In the meantime, we're just working. You know what I mean? But like half the locker room actually felt that. Anyways, I'm getting off subject. But
no, I remember that.
I guess the point to that was I never saw that in you. And I mean, could it be a situation where guys were worried that maybe you'll take their place? Maybe. You know what I mean? The situation that I do remember some people referring to you as Norm's boy.
I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was. Because I was Norm's boy. I was. I'll admit to that.
The thing is, there's a hell of a lot worse things to be than associated with Norm Connors. Because I mean, let's be honest, the man knows wrestling. You know,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and the thing was, is I never got really a big chance to work with him a lot. You know, I've talked to him, you know, sometimes here and there and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, as far as a promoter goes, he knows how to put asses in seats. He knows how to make a success at it. Not to mention, he obviously knew talent. You know, I mean, he if you're Norton's boy, he brought in Lou Marconi. That's talent. Frank Stiletto was talent. You guys were freaking phenomenal. Even 2008, 2009, whenever you're probably both in your late 30s, Frank might have even been older. You know, you guys, well, you still tore up the fucking place. You know, and it was a situation where it's like, you guys, you know, I would tell some of the younger guys, you guys need to watch these guys. They know how to work. There's a difference between working and doing professional wrestling, you know. And
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people know this, but 216 Clicks would introduce Shane Taylor, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Brought him in. Yeah, I brought in Shane.
And he was like super, super green at that point. Like he only had a few matches, am I right?
I can't remember fully, but he was working for Firestorm. I had a couple good matches with him at Firestorm in Cleveland. Yeah.
And then you guys brought him in here, and I mean, he exploded. And I tell you what, like, he's a super nice guy too. He very, very, very focused on what he wants to do. You know what I mean? And that's a great thing. And he was determined. He told me, he goes, I am going to make it. And I believed him. You know what I mean? Some guys will say, I'm going to make it. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. Shane Taylor, I believed him, you know? And the thing is, he went out there and he, again, was a situation where he made it look real. You felt like Shane Taylor was really going to beat somebody's ass. And quit, you know, and that was the thing. It was like, you know, so the 216 Click, not only was it a great angle, not only was it a great platform that the NWA dropped the ball on, you know what I mean? And I think we had a good chemistry as far as like the top PWX guys that was going against you guys. But we also were able to bring in somebody like a Shane Taylor, very young Shane Taylor, and you know, it helped develop him into the guy, one of the guys in the city of Pittsburgh as far as wrestling goes. You know, and it turned out really good. And again, Shane's a great guy, you know, and that's the thing. Is like, I don't know. That was one of the biggest compliments I ever got. I asked a couple fans one time. This is a long time ago. I asked them, you know, what is it about me that makes you want to cheer me? You know what I mean? I'm just trying to get a grasp of what it is, you know. And they said to me, they said, the difference is when your music hits, we know somebody's ass is getting kicked, and it goes back to the realism. You know what I mean? And you know, and I feel like I've accomplished that. You know what I mean? And I've learned a lot of that from, you know, Samu, being in Rage with him. Like that was just after you guys, actually probably maybe 6-8 months after you had left, I believe, because I think I was 98 maybe. But you know what I mean? I spent a lot of time with Samu, you know, and I mean, I try to pick the brain of a lot of people, and that's what I just contacted you recently about this Fight Underground Fight Council, you know, and I don't want to give anything away, but you know, the concept to it was that let's recognize the history, you know, the stuff that I learned from some of these guys, you know what I mean? Or, you know, there's such a wealth of information and knowledge that, you know, everybody has, and you got to be able to, in order to move forward, you got to be able to recognize, I think, your past, you know, and that's the thing is like, it's not just any single one person. There's a hell of a lot of people, just even in the city of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, honestly, still is a territory. Everywhere's still a territory, if you think about it. You know, like, you know, it's just more of a city as opposed to an entire area, I think. But, you know, and I mean, that's kind of what's the concept to it. It's like, you know what, you know, I don't know. It just feels like that you pay respect back to the people that helped pave the way. Not to mention, I mean, the wealth of, you know, Brandon Kay, Chris Taylor, and JB Destiny is the first three that's on the Fight Council, and we got a hell of a lot more. You know what I mean? When it's all said and done, it's going to be probably almost, I would say, 500 years of experience is going to be on this thing. And, you know, what are they going? What are you going to do with it? You know, they can teach young guys. You know what I mean? Not to mention, they know, you know, these guys and girls and women know what they're doing. Each one did something that was, you know, huge as far as paving the way, not only in Pittsburgh wrestling, but just indie wrestling in general. You know, and that's kind of where I was wanted to go with it as far as that goes. That's putting my new thing over, I know. But
quick question. This is before I let you go though. This is a quick question. Do you think with this whole virus thing and this whole pretty much shutting everything down, do you think this is a good reset opportunity for wrestling?
Absolutely, I
Yeah.
absolutely do.
I saw Adam Pearce tweeted that saying, "Watch, they're going to pop on arm drags again." That's what he said.
Well, I hope. I mean, I hope they do, but I kind of hope not, because that's the direction I want to go. You know what I mean? From a selfish standpoint, you know. But yeah, it is. It is a perfect opportunity. I mean, literally, it's like wiping the slate clean. You know, and you can pretty much do anything you want. You know, and I mean that's again my personal thing. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do something different. I see what's being done, and I'm like, okay, I want to do the opposite of that. Because it's
no spots with their genitals, nobody having their hands in their pockets.
No. I mean, they have their fans. I'm just not one of them. You know what I mean? They made it up to a bigger level. They've done something right, but at the same time, I don't know. I'd rather a good old fashioned wrestling match in which you can work a lockup for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. You know what I mean? And that was one thing. I'll name drop one time, and then I know I talked a lot. So, but we actually brought Tully Blanchard in for a seminar, and this is a guy I grew up watching. You know what I mean? Him and Magnum TA. Magnum TA was my all-time favorite. You know, hence the name Quinn Magnum. That's where I pulled it from. You know, but I mean that was the Four Horsemen. All that stuff. But we brought him in, and he's like, hey, check this out for the lockup. And he goes, you can get a good 30 seconds out of a lockup, and you can make it look where you can establish things right away that both of these competitors are here to basically fight. And quite honestly, that might have been the moment in which the whole Fight Underground thing might have actually registered in my head. So maybe I need to give full credit to Tony Blanchard, because that's make it look a fight. And he went in there. I think he was 61 or something like that at the time. I think he's older now. It was only a couple years ago. But he went in there and he locked up and went around the ring, jockeying for position is all it was. But it looked good. It looked real, and it took a whole minute. But it established so much in just a lockup. And that's the lost art, is being able to work something like that, and you can establish so much with just by doing that, if you do it the right way, as opposed to lock up right into boom, whatever. Some people go lock up straight into a stunner.
Well, let me just ask you this, because that's one of the things. Did you ever book or work with Ronnie Nicole, the female wrestler on the Carolinas?
Absolutely, yes. I know Ronnie very well. We did a women's thing, like a women's organization up here, Angel Gate, for about I think it was almost 2 years. And she was one of the featured. What was that look?
Did she tell you that I helped train her?
She did mention your name at the very first.
Yeah.
She's super. I mean, she's somebody that is very, very talented.
Oh yeah, she was.
Why now? If you help train her.
She was very well. The thing I told her was show the fight. Show the fight. The straight in, straight out, but I mean, lock up and really show that. You remember Chili Willie in ECW?
Yeah.
We were the training center was in a barn in Clayton, North Carolina. I picked her up. We went to go train. Chili Willie was there with Dan Wright. It was his barn. So I walked in. I put on my stuff. I said, "Man, nice to meet you." "Yeah, I always wanted to meet you." But we heard of each other. He knew I worked at ECW. He did too. So we just locked up and we started to work, and we worked the lockup. And all the students' eyes got like huge. Wow. Whoa. And then we did a match. We just did a match. We called it in the ring. We did a match. And they were like, we just met.
Yeah. It's a universal language if you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm great at it, but
she told me, she sent me a voice message once, because I was like, yeah, I try to be humble, and I know I did a lot in wrestling and everything, but I'm starting to lose my voice here. I'm talking so much. But she called me. She didn't call me. She left me a voice message through Facebook Messenger saying, "Hey, people I've worked with in Pittsburgh know who you are." I said, "Well, of course, they're going to know my Pittsburgh." And I figured it was you. I figured it was you and Norm possibly, and whoever else. I don't think Norm's even in the business anymore. And he's talking about it now. He's tweeting stuff and Facebook posting stuff about doing Steel City again. I'm like, okay, call me when you need me.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I got a hold of Norm. I said, hey, I can use some help as far as like, you know how to promote, you make stuff work. I said, I'd like to learn some stuff from you. And he was very receptive. So maybe I'm the one that started his itch again. I don't know. Then again, maybe not.
That might have been. Well, Norm is a very good guy. Norm's a great guy. We had our problems, and the last time I saw him was that benefit show for Zoltan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I can't remember what city it was in. It was at a pavilion. It was kind of a semi-outdoor show. It was a nice day in August. Frank and I came out. We did it, and that was the last time I worked the match. And we did a tag match against two guys. That it was weird because the guy reached out to me. I can't remember who the guys were we worked with, but they were normally heels. And they go, "Are you Frank usually baby face or heel?" I said, "We're usually heels, but we were faces because these guys." When I saw their gimmicks, I'm like, "Yeah, one's a Sheik and the other one's a Canadian guy." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty much it's an anti-US."
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna do faces, which we could do faces, and just to have Norm management for face was weird. but you brought up something from 20 years ago to me, and I was like, "Yeah, it was 20 years ago." He felt bad about it, something that happened. And I was like, "Dude, it's over. Don't worry about it. I've long forgot about that. We're cool. It's good to see you." And then he introduced me to his wife, and other people in his wife's family that were at the show. And this is his second wife. I was in his first wedding. And I was like, "Yeah, nice to meet you. Hey, it's good to see you." Yeah. But, and he was talking to me. All the guys were talking to me about me being a family man now and having my house. And where I'm at in Ohio, I'm like 20 minutes down the road from I'm in the country.
You probably love it too.
It's nice. It's nice. It's quiet. It's nice. It's a quiet, like my wife grew up out this way and they have a very good school district. So when we got a chance to move back from North Carolina, we purposely found a house in this school district to do it. So that was on us. And plus we're like 10 minutes from her parents. So
okay, that's good.
Her parents versus mine. Yeah, we're in Geauga County, Ohio. So, but yeah. So before I let you go, I mean, we could do another part of this, we could talk for hours more, but I don't want to make this too long.
Right.
What words of wisdom would you want to leave with anybody listening to this before we go?
You know what? 3 acts. There's 3 acts to a match. There's 3 acts. If you're a booker, there's 3 acts to putting a show together. There's 3 acts to an angle. If you know what I mean? It's all the same. You got a beginning, you got a middle, and you got an end. So right. The thing is, if you can come up with all 3 acts and ask yourself questions, poke holes in your own theories, you know what I mean? Even if it's a match, why are you doing this? Would that make sense? If I'm a fan sitting there and say, well, that he could have just done that. Okay, that's the stuff that's how you foolproof stuff, from both a wrestling match standpoint and from like a booking standpoint. You still want the booking a show is the same thing. I've done it many, many years. I'm not saying I'm super successful at it, but I feel like I got the ebb and flow of it. And, it's a roller coaster, just like, anybody's been trained in wrestling, anybody's even been introduced to wrestling, basically has heard of the roller coaster for psychology, and booking a show is the same way. It's a roller coaster. You want the fans up and down throughout the night, Yeah. So if you're somebody that is just getting in the business where make everything make sense, build to stuff. Don't do 27 things in a row. Do 2, maybe even just 1, and build to it. Make it worth the payoff. Basically, is what you're doing. Even on a move, the move is the payoff. The build to get there. Anticipation is just as gratifying sometimes as the actual, end result. I'm a kid. At Christmas, the anticipation of Christmas was pretty much just as good as Christmas itself.
Yep.
And I mean, you can apply that to wrestling. I think, is create the anticipation. It could be something as simple as getting to a move. It could be something, it could be the entire match, anticipation of the match. It could be an entire show. It could be an entire angle. But the thing is it still boils down to one basic, simple concept: beginning, middle, and end.
Right. The blow off, the finish. Yep. So, right. And I always thought this too. The moment the baby face pins the heel, feud's over.
That's it. Yeah.
Feud's over. That's what people wanted to see. I wish if I wouldn't have left PWX when I did, because I was feuding with T Rantula, I had an idea for a blow off that never came about that I never really told anybody, but I would have done a hair versus hair match with T, and he would have shaved my head. Could you imagine?
That would have sold seats right there. Because
Just
somebody's
doing
getting their head shaved. People were going to come. Lou Marconi and T Ranch. Who is it? Who's going to get? You know what I mean? That's a hell of a blow off there.
We would have done a little bit more to the angle to bring heat, where we would have jumped him out and maybe cut off a piece of his beard, and I walked around with it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the anticipation. You know what I mean?
Got the idea from Jimmy Valiant's feud with Paul Jones. You know,
I remember that feud. Yes.
Yeah, it started out when they jumped Jimmy Valiant and cut his beard. That's how it started. Jimmy Valiant wasn't. I mean, he was more of an entertainment type worker. But back in the '70s, he could go, but he didn't do as much in the '80s when he was doing that. And he still works. I mean, I see him once in a while one of the things. But you know, like I said, that would have been the perfect bluff. T would have done it. I know T would have done it.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, well, T was definitely smart as far as like seeing what a payoff could be. You know what I mean? And that would have definitely been good. Man, that would have been really good.
He would have. Because I guarantee you, people were probably coming up to him around town saying, "Man, don't you let that guy shave your head." Yep. That would be making jokes about him riding his Harley with a bald head. He better wear a hat.
There's so much you can do with that, man. That's awesome.
So much fun with that. I said, I won't shave your head. I'll give you a mohawk, and we're going to call you Mr. T Rantula.
Man, you had this all planned out.
Oh, I had everything planned out, but I left. You know, it's just one of those things. That's my biggest regret. And I would have done it with T. T would have loved it. He would have done it. Could you imagine the reaction of those people if he would have done that to me? It would have been like when Gino Hernandez and Chris Adams got their head shaved. Because
that's right, they put the mask on then.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the guys at the time were calling. Well, not really guys. A lot of the smart marks that were doing their sheets and everything. They were saying I reminded them of Gino Hernandez, which I took that as a compliment. That type of a heel, and that's what Norm was going for at the time. So Norm had the right vision too. So, you know, it happens. You know, I guess we have some regrets, and we wish we could go back and do it over again. That's the one thing I would have done that. I would have, you know. Oh God,
that would be something that would still be talked about today in circles around here. No doubt about it.
Still, man. I remember the I Quit match. With T. You remember that?
I remember the I Quit match. I do not remember how it ended.
I went over. He basically, I had him in a leg hold. I wouldn't let go. And Widow was being held by somebody. And T's like, "Don't hurt the widow. Don't hurt the widow. You better quit or else we're going to hurt her. You better quit or else we're going to hurt her." He's like, all right. I quit. Don't hurt her. Oh, yeah. We hit her anyway. And
yeah.
And we failed, and I ended up winning. I took a power bomb through the walkway, a particle board walkway. I did. You remember that?
I do remember that. That was rough. I guarantee you. Even if it's only particle board, that's still rough.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, I remember Howard, the photographer, Kernotz, the next day was telling me, "Don't ever do that again."
I just saw Howard at the last IWC show.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh my God, Quinn, I haven't seen you in so long." I was like, "Man, it's good to see you."
He's a hell of a guy. I made so many friends in this business. I did. I mean, I look back on times of hearing that I had heat. In my 20s, I was an idiot. I did stupid stuff. So I think we all were.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, you're in your 20s. You're invincible. We all are, right? Now I'm 47. You're about ready to join that club. Now we wake up in the morning and have to stretch for 20 minutes. That's a win.
No, considering what a lot of other guys have gone through, what states they're in, I think I've won. I mean, I've done a lot in this business, and so have you. And you know, we have some regrets, but I'm thinking, God, damn, man, doing that hair versus hair match with T would have been nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's something you could do today. I mean, maybe not you two, because I think T has his head shaved now, so it'd have to be like his beard.
His head shaved. He became a corrections officer for a while, and I don't know what he's doing now. I mean, I saw him at that same show. He showed up at, he showed up and he worked. I don't remember who he worked, but he still does stuff. I mean, he's still working. So good God.
Oh yeah. He just had a birthday. I wished him happy birthday and stuff, and I said, what are
Oh,
you, like 39 or something like that? He's like, no. He's like, I forget what he said. It was high 50s.
yeah, he was at least, yeah, because when I first worked him, I was only 20 years old. I looked like a baby. And I was in there with him, and he just knocked the hell out of me.
Time, not your time, brother.
Yeah, that he invented that with me. That was in Erie. Somebody
Oh,
had it.
really? So I have you to thank for taking that over a year straight, huh? Probably about 50 times. It got to the point one time that I told him, I said, I have a counter for this. Do you care? He's like, no, brother, let's do it. So he hits me with the nachos. I had two plants in the audience. One threw me a towel, wiped off my face. The other one, this is, when Stone Cold was the thing, and it was stupid, but somebody threw me a beer, and I chugged the beer. As I was chugging it, he hit me from behind. So it was a cool little spot.
All right. Well, man, hey, it was a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Same here.
And we could do this again and again and again. And I'm telling you what, man, we could just talk about the old days of Pittsburgh. But yeah, that honestly, that's just something else. Man, it was great. Thanks for using me when you have too, by the way. Thanks for giving me a chance. I remember because I came back at a reunion show. I said, I had this idea. We can maybe get Adam Pearson here. We can get some money and start doing the 216 click gimmick and doing all this other stuff. And it was just like, and you believed me because you knew me. And it was just like, okay. And then, wow, it just took off. I didn't expect it to get over as late day. I had no idea. And
it was great though.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. That's why I knew I was doing the right things, because a lot of people were happy. When everybody's happy, you're doing something right. So
right.
It's really everybody's happy in a pro wrestling life.
Yeah, really.
Everybody wants to be a champion. Everybody wants to be on top. Hey. Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you. And anybody else listening to this, anybody that watched me on TV, anybody that paid their money to come out and see me or see Quinn, thank you so much. I mean, it's just to the bottom of my heart. You have no idea. I when I first tried out to be a wrestler in 1993, okay, for Charlie Fulton's school, he gave me a free tryout. I was scared to death because I was afraid he was going to tell me I couldn't do it. And I went and I tried out, and he pulled me aside and goes, "When can you start?" I was like, really? Okay. Well, then yeah, we started going over the money, and I had to take a second job making pizzas to pay for it. I didn't put money together to do it. So, and I came back and I did it, and Charlie and I, I have everything to thank him for, how he did that too. So you figure things out and you work it out. But all right, Quinn, man, I'm going to stop recording now, everybody. If you like this and you like hearing me talk to wrestlers, please like and share this. Hit the subscribe button. Please join this podcast. It's called The Stew Pot because my ring name was Beef Stew Lou Marconi. And that was a high school nickname that followed me in wrestling. That's all it was. But I do call it The Stew Pot. Please do so. Thank you. And again, Quinn, thank you very much. I'm going to have to drink some water now. My voice is all hoarse.